Welcome to SATV News. This is Riaz Mahmood with our headlines. No one except Allah can stop the February elections, says Salahuddin Ahmed. Those promoting PR system have ulterior motives. Gano Adhikar Parishad President Noor suffers nose jaw fractures, remains under intensive care. Army tried its best to avoid use of force. Eventually, its hand was forced, says ISPR. Now, in details. BNP's Standing Committee member Salahuddin Ahmed today said there is no mention of a PR system in Bangladesh's constitution and accused those promoting it of having ulterior motives. He made the remarks while speaking at the opening of Netrakona District BNP's Triennial Council at Mukhtarpur Field this afternoon. Citing the constitution, Mr. Salahuddin added, Article 65(2) of Bangladesh's constitution clearly states that 300 members of parliament shall be elected directly from territorial constituencies. There is no mention of any PR system or provision. The BNP leader also said that no one except Allah can stop the February elections. He also alleged that those making misleading statements to delay or obstruct the election were deceiving the public. Mr. Salahuddin further added that Bangladesh has now entered an electoral environment. Gano Adhikar Parishad President Nurul Haq Noor is under intensive care at Dhaka Medical College Hospital after suffering a head injury along with jaw and nose fractures, said doctors. He has also suffered internal bleeding in the head, though doctors described it as minor. Doctors confirmed the information this morning. According to doctors, Noor was brought to the emergency ward around 11:20 p.m. yesterday, bleeding with a nasal gauze bandage already in place. He was later transferred to the ICU on the 4th floor. CT scan reports this morning revealed the extent of his injuries, a head injury with minor internal bleeding and fractures in the nose and right jawbone. Noor's eyes and face are swollen, with visible blood accumulation in his eyes. No other injuries were found. A medical board comprising specialists from neurosurgery, ENT, ophthalmology and casualty departments has been formed to oversee this treatment. Meanwhile, activists of Gano Adhikar Parishad have staged highway blockades in Rajshahi and Sirajganj to protest the assault on party chief Nurul Haq Noor. In Rajshahi, student leaders from the party's student wing Chhatra Adhikar Parishad blocked the Dhaka-Rajshahi highway in front of Rajshahi University's main gate around midday today. Protesters shouted slogans including unity among students, citizens and the public, let July's weapon roar again, set fire to fascism's thrown together. In Sirajganj, party activists blocked roads near the western roundabout of Jamuna Bridge and at Soedabad intersection. According to Jamuna Bridge West Police Chief, around 70 to 80 activists obstructed traffic for about 10 minutes, halting vehicles on the bridge. After marching along the highway, protesters concluded their demonstration at Soedabad. The demonstrators condemned the attack and demanded a swift punishment for those responsible. Traffic returned to normal after the blockade was lifted. The Inter-Services Public Relations on Friday said a violent clash took place between activists of two political parties in Kakral, Dhaka, creating unrest in the area. According to ISPR, the incident occurred around 8 p.m., leaving several people injured, and the army and police were deployed to control the situation. Initially, the police tried to manage the crowd, but the violence increased, which made them seek the army's help, as some police members were also attacked during the clash and injured. The law enforcement asked both sides to remain calm, respect the law and resolve their differences peacefully, but some party activists ignored the warnings, organized mob violence and attacked the police. Around 9 p.m., they held a torch march threw bricks and tried to set fire to buildings, and mass people's movement in nearby areas like Vijayanagar and Noyapaltan was seriously disrupted. The statement said the army tried its best to avoid use of force, but eventually its hand was forced. The army said 5 of its members were injured while helping to restore order. BNP's Standing Committee member Dr. Abdul Moin Khan today said people will not accept an attack on Gano Adhikar Parishad President Nurul Haq Noor. The people of the country cannot accept such an attack on him. BNP condemns this incident and want a fair investigation, said Dr. Moin after visiting Nurul Haq Noor at Dhaka Medical College Hospital. He also said that such an incident should not be repeated in Bangladesh. No one can be silenced by force, he added. Moin said that before August 2024, 63 political parties of the country, including BNP, were on the streets in the movement to restore democracy. Nurul Haq Noor played an important role in that movement, he mentioned. The senior BNP leader added that people of this country have never tolerated oppression. They have protested and fought for independence many times. Stating that everyone should believe in the democratic process, Dr. Moin said the aspirations of the people must be clearly reflected through fair voting. Viewers are taking a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. You are watching SATV News. Now, news from abroad. 3 people died and 5 were injured in Indonesia after protesters set fire to a regional parliament building. Authorities said on Saturday as demonstrators opposed the first major test to President Prabowo Subianto's government. The Southeast Asian nation's disaster management agency in a statement did not give the causes of the deaths in the Friday evening fire in Makassar, the capital of South Sulawesi province. According to the Antara news agency, the dead victims allegedly had been trapped in the burning building. The disaster agency said 2 of the injuries resulted from people jumping out of the building. Protests began in Indonesia's capital Jakarta this week over lawmakers' pay, escalating on Friday after a police armored vehicle hit and killed the driver of a ride-hailing motorbike. A Russian attack on Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia killed one person and injured 24, including 3 children, said local governor Ivan Fedorov on Saturday. In a telegram post, Fedorov said 14 residential buildings were damaged and remained without power and gas supply. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Moscow had used preparation time for a meeting of leaders of both countries to launch new massive attacks on his country. According to the Ukrainian Air Force, it had downed 510 of 537 drones and 38 of 45 missiles launched by Russia in an overnight attack. Heavy bombardment has been continued in Gaza City as Israel says it's a planned seizure of the besieged Palestinian territory's largest area is progressing. At least 35 Palestinians, including 8 seekers, have been killed by Israeli attacks across Gaza since Saturday dawn. 22 Palestinians were killed and dozens injured in Israeli shelling that targeted different areas across the Gaza Strip, with the heaviest bombardment concentrated in the city. 5 aid seekers were killed and others wounded in south of the Gaza Valley area and in the central Gaza Strip, said WAFA, the Palestinian Authority's official news agency. Israel's military stepped up armed operations around Gaza City on Friday, ending temporary pauses there that had allowed for aid deliveries as it announced the recovery of the body of Ilan Weiss on Friday, a hostage seized by Hamas. Israel has killed at least 63,025 people and wounded 1,59,490 since October 7, 2023. The United States said on Friday it will not allow Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas to travel to New York next month for a United Nations gathering of world leaders where several U.S. allies are set to recognize Palestine as a state. The Reuters news agency's report revealed a State Department official said in an email to Reuters that Abbas and about 80 other Palestinians would be affected by the decision to deny and revoke visas from members of the umbrella Palestine Liberation Organization and the West Bank-based Palestinian Authority. Abbas had been planning to travel to New York for the annual high-level UN General Assembly at UN headquarters in Manhattan. He was also set to attend a summit there hosted by France and Saudi Arabia, where Britain, France, Australia and Canada have pledged to formally recognize a Palestinian state. Abbas' office said it was astonished by the visa decision and argued that it violated the UN headquarters agreement. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said on Friday that Iran does not seek war, but if Israel and the United States attacked, Iran will stand against them forcefully. He made the remark during a pre-recorded television interview. He further said America and Israel seek to divide and destroy Iran, but no Iranian wants Iran to be divided. Meanwhile, on the same day, Iran's UN ambassador Amir Saeed Iravani said that the plan offered by Germany, France and Britain to delay reinstating UN sanctions on Tehran is full of unrealistic preconditions. He added that they should instead support a short and conditional technical extension of Resolution 2231, which enshrined the 2015 Iran nuclear deal.
Extension plan full of unrealistic preconditions.
A divided U.S. appeals court ruled on Friday that most of Donald Trump's tariffs are illegal, undercutting the Republican president's use of the levies as a key international economic policy tool. The court allowed the tariffs to remain in place through October 14 to give the Trump administration a chance to file an appeal with the U.S. Supreme Court. The statute bestows a significant authority on the president to undertake a number of actions in response to a declared national emergency, but none of these actions explicitly include the power to impose tariffs, duties or the like, or the power to tax, the court said. The Treasury, the U.S. Trade Representative's Office and the Commerce Department had no immediate response to the ruling. Meanwhile, Donald Trump on Friday said the ruling by a U.S. appeals court that most of his tariffs were not illegal was incorrect, adding that all tariffs were still in effect. All tariffs are still in effect, Trump said in a post on Truth Social. If these tariffs ever went away, it would be a total disaster for the country. It would make the country financially weak. The USA will no longer tolerate enormous trade deficits and unfair tariffs and non-tariff trade barriers imposed by other countries, friend or foe, that undermine manufacturers, farmers and everyone else. If allowed to stand, this decision would literally destroy the United States of America, added the Republican president. Venezuelans gathered on Friday in Caracas to join the Bolivarian National Militia after President Nicolas Maduro's recruitment call over rising tensions with the United States following the deployment of U.S. warships in the southern Caribbean. This is the second phase of enlistment events taking place in the South American country since the tension began. The recruitment process kicked off last week. 7 U.S. warships along with 1 nuclear-powered fast-attack submarine are either in the region or are expected to be there soon, bringing along more than 4,500 sailors and Marines. U.S. President Donald Trump has said combating drug cartels is a central goal for his administration, and U.S. officials have told Reuters that the military efforts aim to address threats from those cartels. Meanwhile, army vehicles, soldiers were seen inspecting vehicles at checkpoints, patrolling a Colombian-Venezuelan border crossing on Friday, one day after President Gustavo Petro ordered the reinforcement of military presence in the area to reduce the mafia's forces as much as possible. The order entails the Colombian army increasing the number of soldiers to combat criminals in the Catatumbo region, where there are currently 25,000 soldiers, Petro said on his X account on Thursday. While some residents expressed reservations about the militarization, others supported it for security reasons. The move comes as the tensions between the United States and Venezuela are rising amid a large U.S. naval buildup in the southern Caribbean and nearby waters, which U.S. officials say aims to address threats from Latin American drug cartels. Villagers from Chanda Singh Wala village in Kasur district were among the latest evacuations from flood-hit areas in Pakistan's Punjab province on Friday. Pakistan evacuated more than 1 million people this week in the east of the country, away from the path of the 3 overflowing rivers that come from India. Meanwhile, Pakistani officials said that the flooding was made worse by New Delhi's suspension of a river-sharing treaty and the collapse of the gates on an Indian barrage. On Friday, in eastern Pakistan, flood waters hit the outskirts of the country's second biggest city, Lahore, and threatened to submerge the major town of Jhang in the worst flooding in almost 40 years in that part of the country. India should release water in rivers slowly and gradually so they and we both do not face these hardships, said 30-year-old villager Shahid Ali. Meanwhile, several homes and buildings were washed away after heavy rain triggered flooding and landslides across parts of northern India on Friday. Emergency crews waded through flooded streets to rescue people who were stranded in their homes. Between 8 and 9 people are feared to be trapped under debris after a landslide hit the town of Rudraprayag on Thursday, according to a district official. Torrential monsoon rains ravaged neighboring adversaries India and Pakistan this week, with further heavy downpours forecast for this weekend. Before ending, we go through the headlines again. No one except Allah can stop the February elections, says Alauddin Ahmed. Those promoting PR system have ulterior motives. Gano Adhikar Porishad President Noor suffers nose jaw fractures, remains under intensive care. Army tried its best to avoid use of force. Eventually, its hand was forced, says ISPR. You are updated with our top stories so far here on SATV, and to know the latest news, visit www.satv.tv. Stay with SATV.